We bought a house that was way too big. And it's funny because you don't think about the downsides.
They put your living room in your kitchen, called it open concept, and convinced you all that that's actually nice.
And as we've been discussing, we've definitely both unanimously come to the decision that we're tired of paying bills. Like, we're tired of paying mortgages, car notes, credit card bills, just pretty much any personal debt. We're just tired of it.
Pregnant with my fourth baby, and we just downsized.
So the price of home ownership has gotten so crazy. Some people are saying, you know what? I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. People are starting to think about downsizing. The cost to own, the cost for a mortgage, insurance, taxes, maintenance. People are saying, I can't afford this house anymore. Let's get to the bottom of it and let's talk about it. Let's listen to these videos and let's hear from the people's mouth. What is breaking families from being able to own homes? Let's go.
So I've been talking to my wife recently, about our finances and, the general financial direction, investment goals that I have for the family. And as we've been discussing, we've definitely both unanimously come to the decision that we're tired of paying bills. Like, we're tired of paying mortgages, car notes, credit card bills, just pretty much any personal debt. We're just tired of it. And I'm also watching the government policy that's just continuing to attack the middle class, which is what I am right now. So one of the key things that the middle class rely on is personal debt. The middle class are generally the ones with about 600 to the 800 credit scores who actually rely on borrowing money. So when times like now interest rate goes up, then the middle class can't do nothing. So we decided that we're going to eliminate our debt to remove that barrier from us. So our plan to get rid of our mortgage is simple. We thought of two options. Option one, downsize. And downsize is actually a realistic situation because we already don't live on a lot. Like right now, we currently have a 2,500 square foot house, but we only live in 1,500 square feet. Like, we got a 5-bed, 3-bath house. Upstairs has 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. Downstairs got 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. I got both of my boys up in one room, and I got both of my girls up in the other room, and me and my wife share a room. We got our bathroom, the kids got their bathroom. We use 3 bed, 2 bath. We got 2 living room upstairs. That's all. We're upstairs more often than not. The only time we go to the basement, which is pretty much the other 1,000-something square feet, is to watch movies on movie night. And then my office is downstairs. We don't need no special place for movie night. We already got a living room upstairs. I don't need no personal office, which is nice to have, but I don't need that. Me and my wife have shared an office before, and we can share office again. It's just, we don't need a lot of space. I don't think my kids need large bedrooms because they just sleep in there and they get dressed in there. And I want my kids outside more often than not. I don't really want my kids to just live inside, which is pretty much akin to living in a cave. Like, all houses are these days, it just ain't nothing but fancy caves. But I digress on that. Anyway, we decided that we're going to downsize. So since we already used to living on 1,500, 1,600 square feet, we decided to buy a house about 1,500 square feet, but we want more land.
We bought a house that was way too big. And it's funny because you don't think about the downsides. Especially living in New York, my wife and I, we were like so used to places that were too small that when we started looking at the places we could afford, we were like, oh my God, what if we got this one? And then we'd go see a bigger one. We're like, what about this one? Oh my God. We just got, I guess, seduced. Because when we actually moved in, we realized we literally don't have enough stuff to fill the house. So then you feel obligated to fill the house, which means buying a bunch of furniture you don't need. And now you're dealing with a bunch of contractors and designers and stuff that you don't really want to be dealing with. And then the second thing, we don't have kids. So it's just me and her. She got an office. I got an office. She had a bathroom. I had a bathroom. She had this personal space. I had a library. We had rooms for all of our own things. So we never saw each other. And we realized that we didn't like that. We started getting nostalgic about our little 900 square foot apartment that we lived in before the house because we were always basically in the same room together. We bought a house that was...
He's so right. 100% correct. Houses never used to be this big. I mean, the house I'm living in right now is a perfect example. Most of the houses in the 40s, 50s, they were, 800 square feet, 1,000 square feet, 3-1, 2-1, 3-2. The second bathroom is a relatively new idea. And most people never lived in this much space. And everybody's like, well, what did they do? I'm like, they stayed outside. Like, this house was not built with AC in it. We put AC in it. Prior to the 80s, people just didn't run around with AC in their houses. They went outside. So they didn't come inside until they were ready to go to bed. They had big front porches. They did stuff like that. Heck, most of these walls in here only have 2 outlets, and I had to put in more outlets because back in the old days, they didn't need that much power. And it shows you how much we have changed. Bankers created big houses because it made better banknotes, and then they brainwashed us that we needed bigger houses, and now we're in this cost of living problem and realizing we don't need that big of a house. I mean, I lived in a metal can in the desert in a place called Iraq for a while. Just a little bit of space, some clean clothes at gym, 2 duffel bags and some clean clothes. And, I was perfectly happy. But as a young man, but with a family, you got to have a little more space. I don't think we need as much as we think we do.
Pregnant with my 4th baby, and we just downsized. About 2 years ago, we moved into what we thought would be like our forever home, or at least our very long-term home. It was almost 3,000 square feet in a very developed neighborhood. It was at the time such a good financial move for us as well. Then about 3 months after we closed on the house, my husband lost his job and then started a new job, which was sales commission. If you know anything about sales, it kind of takes you 45 days to 60 days to see your first paycheck after you make your first sale. It was one of the reasons actually that I started trying to do content creation on the side, because it was just a very tight time for us. We ate through all of our savings. It just got to be a time in our life where we were making it, but every single penny that we were making was going to our home. Instead of feeling relieved and happy and enjoying our house, we were feeling very stressed and feeling like we couldn't live or give our kids experiences that we wanted to. We kind of looked at each other and we're just what are we doing? We're not enjoying this large house. It feels like it's too large for us, and we are stressed out of our minds trying to pay for it. We weren't really exactly looking for a home, but we did find a home that we were able to actually buy in cash with equity from our home sale. It's not in an established neighborhood. It's not in a really nice area at all. Our monthly payments are extremely small now. We feel no stress at all. Yesterday was kind of a hectic day for me, and I didn't tidy up the house at all until the end of the day. It took me about 30 minutes to clean everything. I have a dishwasher, and it actually takes me less time to do my dishes now without the dishwasher than it did before when I had the dishwasher. And we also are just able to do more fun family things because all of our money is not going into a mortgage. As we're starting our family and just trying to get our footing and figuring things out, I cannot recommend enough to maybe look at a smaller square footage or a smaller floor plan than you might be considering. Yes, having a nice house where each of us has a bedroom and has space and there's everything is furnished and it's so beautiful, that sounds really, really nice. But at the end of the day, financial peace and not feeling stressed and not feeling if you were to lose your job for 3 months that you would be on the brink, just not worth it. It's so much more worth it to just make memories with your family, especially if you have young kids like I do. They don't care about your house. They don't care about your furniture. They don't care about any of that. They just want to be with you.
She is so right. I say this all the time as a real estate agent, that people are buying too big of a house. And there's an old saying that the mortgage broker will make you a broker. You got to go about it the right way. And I would much rather live on a shack on the beach than a mansion that I can't afford. I never wanted to be house poor. And that's why me and Samantha live in an old house that we bought and renovated. And we became closer trying to renovate this old house. We were in the trenches together saying, you know what? If we can get through this and the sawdust and the sheetrock dust, then maybe we can get through anything. But when you don't have a mortgage and you don't have debt, life is so much easier. Or if you have a little mortgage. And there are houses out there that you can purchase that are cheaper. You can't have friends out there that are trying to Debbie Down you on everything you do. If they're making fun of your house or the way you're living, then maybe they're not your friend. It's like I told Samantha, in this little bitty house, we're rich. We don't have many bills. Yeah, it's nothing big and special, but you know what? We love it. It keeps us warm. It keeps the rain off of us. We live in a great part of town, close to the water, close to downtown, and we have a mortgage that's zero. And that is a great thing to do. And it is possible to get out there, find your property, build some equity, renovate it, make it small, comfortable, and you can do this. Being house poor is not the way to do it. Having a mortgage and insurance and taxes that is unaffordable means that's how much longer you got to work before you can retire. Everything above what you actually need is just something you're going to work for every day, and you have to decide, do I want to go to work for it? Me and Samantha looked at buying a house on the water, looking at the water. It's going to be like $800,000, and I was like, Samantha, that means we got to go to work every day. That means we got to work 10 extra years. That means we've got to be under this mortgage. And we chose that we didn't want to do that. We wanted a little bitty house, and we can go on vacation when we want to. And if you make us mad, we can just retire or we can just quit. Gives us options. Emergency fund, no debt, no credit card debt, no home mortgage, and life is simple. You can tell the man, I'm out of here, boys. I'm out of here. I'm going to sit at the beach. I'm going surfing this afternoon. If I want to go sit in the pool with my son on a Tuesday at 1 p.m., I can do that. And that's what money does. Allows you to buy back.
They put your living room in your kitchen, called it open concept, and convinced you all that that's actually nice, that that's actually luxury. That's a practical design, and you should want it for your house too. They did that so they could sell you less house for more money, and you all ate it up. The open concept floor plan is hideous, and that is a hill I'm willing to die on. When I was in architecture school, I never designed a house with an open concept floor plan. And guess what? My designs were much nicer than other students that did have them in there. This isn't me bragging. This is what all my professors who were licensed architects with their own practices all had to say. I'm going to give you an example from a house that everybody knows. This is Tony Soprano's house, one of the nicest homes that's ever been shown on television. Nothing about this is open concept. You walk into the foyer and there's the great room straight ahead of you with a lot of natural light coming in. That's what you want in a house. You want it to have natural light. You want it to be free flowing. Over to the right is a dining room that's walled off. You go into the kitchen and the only open part is to the little dining table that's near the kitchen, which makes sense because that's actually very practical. Across from the kitchen diagonally is another little sitting area, but if you remember in the show, that had a column and a half wall. It was not open the way homes are today. Now, I totally understand that this is a large house, way more than most people can afford. But that was the whole point. They made open floor plans so that the house would seem bigger and charge you more for it. Now, I understand if that's just how all the new houses are and you got no choice, you got to buy one, sure. What really bothers me today is when people build custom houses and have open floor plans in them. That's incredibly horrible taste. I've seen new construction homes that are massive, where the entire first floor is a kitchen, dining, and living area, all in this one giant space.
Some shocking information yesterday. Shared on Instagram that we're thinking about starting to look at homes or starting the process to do a big renovation on our house. I've always coveted the huge open floor plans, and I thought that would be great for family because you can be in the kitchen and see what they're doing in the living room. So that's been in my head of what I want. And somebody responded and they were like, just so you know, I think the open floor plan trend is kind of passing and people are craving separation. So I asked on stories if you live in an open floor plan, do you like it? Spoiler alert, everybody hates it. One girl even said that the trend was totally driven by HGTV because it was just easier to knock out walls and easier to film in these big open rooms. But I'm telling you, hundreds of people responded saying, I'm so overstimulated, it's so loud, there's no sanctuary or peace to be found. And almost every single person said, I can't clean just one room. I have to clean my whole house in order for it to feel clean, which I'd never ever considered. And another thing someone said is, as far as designed, they were I have to think about my kitchen hardware, tying in with my media console over there. And it truly shocked me because I just have it in my mind that that is what a fancy nice house is this great room. But I think that the tides are turning.
See, this is so true. Open concept, I believe, has run its course. I know for me, I don't like being all the time completely stimulated around everybody. And sometimes I just want to get away. I remember my grandpa had his little study room and he would go back there in the back. It was quiet. He could take a nice nap. He had a little desk, a little recliner. He could watch his own football game and he was in his own little world. And now we have these open floor plans. We're all staring at each other, and I realized that this was a gimmick by the builders. That the entire time they were able to build a house with half as many materials, half as many walls, half as many detailed work, sheetrock, finishing, all these things, half as much time on ground. They were basically throwing up 4 walls, some plumbing fixtures that went this way and this way, kitchen, bathroom, 3 bedrooms, framed them out, sheetrocked them out, and they were out of there. And they could build a house quick, fast, and in a hurry. Just like acoustic ceilings back in the day when they said, oh, it's acoustic ceilings. Like, no. They just didn't want to do the finishing work. So they sprayed it with all that, textured stuff. And that way they didn't have to go in there and make the sheetrock mud completely perfect before they started painting. And I was like, I see what they did here. And finally, I think people are starting to go into this trend where, hey, I want to be able to have some quiet time. I want to not have to clean the entire house when I can just shove some stuff into a room, have it cleaned here, and then that one room is storage, or that extra room is an office or whatever, and not the entire house is looking like this, like this at all times. I'm in the kitchen, I'm staring at somebody. Sometimes I just want my privacy. What do you think? Comments down below. Is this a fad that's running out? Is this how they're jacking up prices on houses, getting more price per square foot? Let me know what you think.
Affordable housing in this country again, because people have built their wealth on real estate. People will need to lose their homes, lose their investments, lose value in the homes in order for us to have affordable housing. And this is a rough conversation to have because we all have friends who have invested in real estate. Our parents own homes. Our grandparents own homes. We're all being taught to build wealth through real estate, but that directly leads to the housing crisis that we have already arrived at, that we've been at for over a decade. I remember growing up seeing Fox News talking about class warfare, but it's like, we working class people, the ones who are the have-nots, we did not ask for class warfare. We asked for our fair share. You took it all. So now if we have to take it back, that might lead to some class warfare. But really, whose fault was that? Whose fault was that? And it's not even the people who wanted to invest in real estate. Why is there no government national housing option for people who just want a $90,000, $100,000 home? And you might be saying, oh, that's a shack. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. The cost of materials to build a home, the land to build a home, not that expensive in a lot of places. In a lot of places it is. But we have to be honest about this. When we're all talking about let's build wealth and build triplexes and rent out things, you want to be a landlord? You want to hoard land when people can't afford housing, when there's homeless people everywhere? I understand. We're worried. We don't have generational wealth to pass on. For sure. But we will be adding to the problem by continuing to invest in real estate. This whole country, most of the wealth in this country is built off of investing in real estate and starting businesses that then sell for millions, billions. Affordable housing will bring down the prices of everyone's houses. So that's what's gonna need to happen.
That's not it. That's not it at all. Okay? It's not because people built wealth in real estate that you'll never have affordable housing. Now, don't get me started on this soapbox. The first one is the bureaucracy to build houses. If you go to LA, San Francisco, heck, you even come into Florida and you look at how hard it is to build a house, permits, getting the property developed, design, working with the county, all the legal stuff it takes to subdivide. Then you've got to build the infrastructure. You've got to talk to the sewer people. You got to talk to the electrical people. You got to fight with the county just to get the setbacks properly. Look, there's a project going on downtown Pensacola right now. It's absolutely horrendous. They spent $1 million to put some tiny little houses on this little lot. They violated all the setbacks because they can say it's for the public, and they've outspent the budget. That it's taken them an astronomical amount of time to complete it, and I don't even know if they are going to complete it. I don't even know where they're going to park their cars. Whoever was involved with that planning and zoning meeting, they missed the entire boat. But to equate people invest in real estate and housing, the only reason why you have housing to begin with is the government incentivizes investors to buy, build, renovate these properties in order to get a return, and they provide housing for somebody else. If you want the government involved in this stuff, good luck with that. LA, they have a complete mess on their hands because they only want unionized builders to build the properties. It goes over budget. It takes forever. They can't get the permits. They kick the can and it winds up never even getting finished. You don't want the government involved in buying houses or building houses. You want them as far away from that as possible. You got to incentivize people to want to build it. I don't know where this idea comes from that nobody's allowed to make money, but I will say this. Real estate is the backbone of America. It is the backbone of the middle class. That is where most of their wealth came from to get in the middle class. They were able to get a mortgage, they were able to build equity, and it allowed them to build some wealth. But it also backed a lot of the money printing. And a lot of the money printing back during the, 19 days, and they created all that M2 money supply. Most of the money supply of the entire United States was created in the last 4 or 5 years, and that elevated the price of these houses to astronomical amounts. And then you take some of these big cities where bureaucracy is like a large part of the building of a house, between planning, zoning, permitting, before you even break the ground, you've got to hassle over all this stuff. And that's why we have a terrible housing crisis. Heck, in some parts of the county where you could put 100 houses, they'll make you subdivide it to where you can only put a house for every third acre or every quarter acre or more. And when you could stack a bunch of houses in there, planning and zoning is going to be like, we don't feel like, and then you're not able to build. Look, if you've ever seen Iraq or Afghanistan, when we put those chews as far as you could see, people living in metal shipping containers, you could solve the homeless problem in no time. But the government is not going to allow you to do that because they want the homeless. With the mansion tax in LA, how's that going for you? Where it was supposed to go to get rid of the homeless problem, instead it just created a bunch of millionaires that didn't want to live there anymore because you're going to charge them a 5% mansion tax when they go to sell the property, whether they lose money or not. You can't tax the wealthy into oblivion and it not make sense, and then take that money and not house the homeless. And you're not going to repeal it when it's not working, and then rich people don't want to live there anymore. You don't want to repeal it because it looks bad, because you think it might not house the homeless. Look, more money is spent on that daggone war across the globe called the Ukraine war. They could have solved the entire homeless population problem with that money. They could have put a house over everybody's head. Again, bureaucracy. All of this is bureaucracy. Has nothing to do with a few landlords wanting to make a little money and provide housing for somebody. Now, if you want to go look at the map about how many corporations own houses in the United States, now maybe that's where you need to go with that. There's no way that like 30% of all the houses in America should be owned by some giant corporation. Like, that's not cool. Here's how you do it. You limit how big a corporation can be and own houses. And then you limit how many subsidiary LLCs can be attached to it and own houses. They can't just create shell companies and keep owning houses underneath the same holding company. You got to split that up and just say, you know what? Anybody, a conglomerate of people can't own more than 10 houses, and then jack the taxes up on them, and they'll get rid of them. Okay, if the cash flow is gone on it, they'll get rid of them, and maybe you could free up some of these houses. At the rate right now, housing is so unaffordable. The cost of ownership keeps getting more and more and more and more. I want to know what you think. Comments down below. Up, down, left, right. Let's have some discourse. Let's argue about it in the comment section. How do we fix this? And if you're a politician, you need to get up there at Capitol Hill and figure out why people are not wanting to own these big houses anymore. It costs too much to own them, between roofs, taxes, insurance, the whole 9 yards. It's crazy. But that's all I got. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down below, and on to the next video.